Hey, everybody, it is Trags Mike Petraglia along with Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com. You're listening and watching the Jungle War Bengals postgame podcast following another epic defensive meltdown, this time to the Chicago Bears. 47-42. The Bengals fall to 3-6 on the season, losing their final two games heading into the bye to the previously winless New York Jets, and today the Chicago Bears. The Bengals have lost 6 of 7, but that doesn't begin to describe, Skinny, the amount of problems they have, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They give up 574 more yards a week after giving up 502 to the New York Jets, one of the worst offenses in football. The Skinny, I don't say this lightly, but if anything's going to change, and I know a lot of the fans, I know a lot of the loyal listeners and viewers of this podcast are clamoring for things to change, people to lose their jobs. Something's got to change, and I think at some point you've got to make hard decisions. Are the Bengals capable organizationally of making those decisions?
I don't think so, Mike. I think that's the problem. Listen, they were lucky to draft Joe Burrow. Yep. They had guys on rookie contracts back in the early 2020s where they could throw money at defensive free agents. And listen, I'm going to give them all the credit in the world for signing Trey Hendrickson because he had one good year under his belt. But when it came time then to make sure your draft picks were going to be good enough to play when you were paying your stars, they simply haven't done that. I mean, the personnel is – Mike, it's so embarrassing to watch NFL caliber players get physically pushed around the way that defense gets pushed around and to be unable to tackle the way they're unable to tackle. That doesn't happen in the NFL. I was watching – we're doing this podcast, early evening on Sunday night, and I got home and was writing my column, and I'm finishing that up, but I'm watching some Red Zone, and it was the Jacksonville-Las Vegas game, and they're talking about what a great day Jacksonville's had on the ground. They've got 140 some odd yards rushing, and that is a great day. That's a great day by NFL standards. And the Bengals have given up 200 plus in back-to-back weeks. It's a joke.
283 rushing net yards for the Chicago Bears. That doesn't begin to tell the story, Skinny. They had two of their top three running backs out injured, including DeAndre Swift, who was their feature tailback. And in this game, they had a Monagai run for 26 yards, a career high 176 yards. Then they had Britton Brown off the practice squad.
Off the practice squad.
Not the first string, not the second, or the third, or the fourth string running back, mind you. The fifth string running back cut off the left side in the third quarter and basically ran into the end zone for the pylon untouched for a 22-yard touchdown run. He finished with 5 carries, 37 yards. Caleb Williams, quarterback, of course, 5 carries, 53 yards, including one on the game-winning drive, and we'll get to that. But those numbers are an embarrassment. The Bengals should be ashamed. And part of this, we're going to spend part of this podcast, Skinny, talking about the problems with the personnel. The other part of this podcast, we're going to talk about the attitude, which I saw firsthand in the locker room post-game. It was egregious. It was reprehensible for a professional team, an NFL team that prides itself on giving full effort, to laugh at not answering reporters' questions. Again, that's a tease for a little bit later. But in terms of fixing the here and now, the Bengals, with the trade deadline coming up, Skinny, on Tuesday at 4 p.m., I don't see how you look at this roster and say, we need to trade away some of the bigger pieces and start to build for the future.
Not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I've watched it.
That's why they get called an incompetent front office. That's why fans are furious and fed up and have had it.
But I would say this: who are you going to trade?
I mean, Trey Hendrickson for one.
And at the moment, you know what you get for Trey Hendrickson? If you're lucky, a third. If you're lucky.
Well, you can clear some of the money off the cap too. But
I mean, for this year, I mean, he's not going to count towards next year's cap. So I'm in the camp of, I mean, I get it. I mean, in theory, that seems like the right move to make, but you're not getting anything for him. He's now a 31-year-old going into 32-year-old guy with a history of a hip issue at the moment.
Which is why you trade him off. which is why you trade him off this roster and you
But
start anew.
you're getting nothing for him. No one is giving you anything for Trey Hendrickson at the moment. Again, you're getting a third if you're lucky. If you're lucky, because he stinks. Honestly, he's not any good anymore, and he's hurt now. And so I'm not giving up something for that guy.
I don't know, Skinny. What about the rest of the defense, and what about other players who could be traded? At some point, you've got to blow this thing up. You're 3-6, and if you're not trading away pieces, perhaps, and others have suggested this, some others who we know very well on the beat have suggested going out and acquiring a guy like a 28-year-old Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee. They are clearly rebuilding, or going out and seeing if Quinnen Williams is available. Real NFL teams serious about rebuilding their roster with players going forward, both of those players under the age of 30. They would send a signal in the organization and into the locker room that the Bengals are serious about moving forward. I just don't know if they have the wherewithal to do it.
Both of us would agree with is they just don't do it, and I don't think they want to give up draft. They love their draft capital. I'm not telling you.
Well, they've done a great job with it, haven't they?
No, they've not. I'm with you, Mike. I that part I agree with you on. The Trey Hendrickson one I'm not, but I mean this I agree with you on. Quinnen Williams can help you. I mean, your interior defensive line at the moment is a joke. TJ Slayton is a joke. BJ Hill is a joke. Their backups are even worse. It's a joke. So to me, I'm with you on that. You add proven NFL talent. I'm fine with that. But you are so far from a draft pick standpoint. Again, you need somebody else leading that room when it comes to draft night, and it can't be Duke Tobin anymore. I mean, it's beating a dead horse. It just can't be any longer.
Well, let's recap what happened in this wild game at the end. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recap at least the last 4 minutes because it was one of the craziest games the Bengals have ever played, and they've obviously played in a number of them. But when you go back and look at the Bengals trailing, let's just look at the last 2 minutes. They trailed by a score of 41-27. And it looked like, and Joe Flacco told me this after the game in the press conference, it looked for all the world when he threw that interception at the Chicago. First of all, the interception returned for the pick six, and there was pass interference on Jamar Chase. Bengals got a second chance, and then Joe Flacco throws the interception that does count. And he thought at that point, you know what? It's probably not going to work out for us. But the defense did make a stand. They forced a punt. And they got the ball back and went down the field and they scored. Then they and that makes it, and they got the 2-point conversion. And at that point, it was 41-35. So what did the Bengals have left? They had to try an onside kick since they had no timeouts.
Which never works anymore, right?
It never does, Skinny.
It never does.
But on this particular occasion, the Bengals got lucky because one of the Chicago Bears wound up hitting it with his foot. Oren Burks recovered Daniel Hardy was the one who touched the ball for the Bears, and Oren Burks worked like mad at the bottom of the pile to recover the ball. He did, and at that point we had 1:43 left in the game, and Flacco led the Bengals on a 6-play 57-yard drive down the field. And he connected with Andre Yosibach, who earlier incompleted himself on a touchdown pass potentially.
One of many gaffes in this game that they had. They had a lot of self-induced gaffes.
We'd have a 90-minute podcast, Skinny, if we went over all the mistakes. But anyway, Bengals get the touchdown, kick the extra point. Lo and behold, the crowd that did stay, that didn't head for the exits, are watching the Bengals complete an improbable comeback. They are ahead 42-41 with just over a minute, or I should say, let me get the time right here.
54
with 54 seconds left. Thank you, Skinny. But the Bears had 54 seconds against the Cincinnati defense. So what does that mean? Well, Caleb Williams, who was pretty good in this game, I've got to give him credit.
So was Justin Fields the week before. Yeah, any quarterback's good against these jamokes.
But Caleb Williams made a couple of plays, one particular play of, I believe, 21 yards on a scramble with his legs. And then came the play that this Bengal defense, I think, sums up the season.
Yep.
And if there's one play you need to look at, it is the play Caleb Williams over the middle to Colston Loveland. Why was Colston Loveland in the game in such a key part? Because Cole Kmet was out with a concussion suffered in the first half. Colston Loveland had his back to the Bengals end zone. He was spinning. There were three, not one, not two. There were three Bengals around him
Jordan
to contain
Battle,
him.
that was a good effort by Jordan Battle on that tackle. Just throw a shoulder at the guy, idiot.
Jordan Battle goes for a kill shot, Skinny.
Yep.
Goes for the freaking kill shot instead of tackling him and getting him down with the Bears having no timeouts remaining. So what happens? He spins off Jordan Battle, Geno Stone, and I believe it was Fig Newton.
Okay.
And Demetrius Knight also in arrears. Could not chase him down. He goes the distance for the touchdown. And unbelievably, the 58-yard go-ahead touchdown puts the Bears on top 47-42. Of course, the Bengals have one more chance with 17 seconds remaining. But Joe Flacco's desperation heave over the middle falls about 20 yards short. It's picked off. The game ends. Bengals lose. And I don't know. I think a lot of people are aghast after the game, Skinny. And I know I'm going on and on and on here. But Chase Brown and Jamar Chase spoke. Chase Brown was the most poignant and I think the most upset. And he said what a lot of Bengal fans were thinking when asked, what were you thinking walking off the field? He said, what the F?
Yeah.
Finish the effing game. And he was not using those words. No. He was actually using the F-bomb.
Yeah.
He was frustrated. He said it with kind of a nervous smile. But boy, oh boy, the frustration in that locker room was something to behold.
I mean, I know they're talking the brave game again about it's not going to be pointing fingers at the defense. It's not against us against them. But at what point do you just go, guys, can you hold up your part in some way, shape, or form? I mean, what Joe Flacco did today should have been the column we all wrote after the game. It's spectacular. It's not even spectacular. It's beyond almost belief. Like Wednesday, Mike, I didn't believe he was going to play. I mean, the AC joint is no joke. And he doesn't practice Wednesday. And then we hear a lot of coach speak on Wednesdays, right, about, well, maybe 50-50, and we'll see. Usually when you hear that, you realize he's not going to play. I mean, it sounds all brave and you know, kind of like gamesmanship with the other team.
Sure.
And yet, there he goes out and plays. In fact, I was even puzzled at like 11:15 this morning when it's Jake Browning and Sean Clifford out for early warm-ups, and actives come in 15 minutes at 11:30, and Joe Flacco's nowhere to be seen. It wouldn't have shocked me, to be honest with you, if
Joe Flacco had made that
active, right? And yet then he goes and plays and does this, and you still lose? I mean, what else can you do?
So Joe Flacco, after the game, Skinny, admits he had a little help throwing the ball. And I went back and I'm like, is he talking about the receivers? And I'm like, no, he's clearly talking about he probably had some type of shot.
Absolutely.
Had some type of shot to help him mitigate the pain throughout the pregame and the game, of course. 31 of 47, 470 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and one of the interceptions, as I just mentioned, was on the Hail Mary. So really only one interception. Those are unbelievable. Those are unbelievable numbers with a healthy shoulder for a 28-year-old quarterback in his prime.
Mike,
go ahead.
You know, I know you know this. It was a career high. Not only was it a career high, it was a career high by almost 80 yards. He'd never thrown he's been in this league 18 years, had never thrown for over 400 yards in a game before. And he does that with a sore shoulder and leads you to almost a miracle comeback, and you still lose?
Oh, Skinny. It's just, we'll get back to it in just a moment. But what Joe Flacco did is equal parts remarkable and heroic, and remarkably and utterly exasperatingly frustrating. Yeah. Skinny, I'm going to just ask it bluntly. Do coaches, assistants lose their job come Monday heading into the bye week?
Bye week's usually a time for those kind of changes. But
Al Golden.
I don't think it's his fault. Now, you could make him the scapegoat like you made Lou Anarumo the scapegoat. I don't think it's his fault. Now, listen, he's culpable, right? It's his unit. I mean, is he scheming things correctly? Is he calling plays at the right plays at the right time? Is it him? I don't think it's him. It's a little bit him. It's always a little bit the coach for sure. Sometimes it's a lot of it the coach. But boy, if you did this 9 games into his first season after you thought Lou Anarumo was the problem, what does that say about you, Zach Taylor? What does that say about you, Duke Tobin? He hired him. Same thing for Jerry Montgomery. I mean, this defensive line is a joke. I mean, it's simply horrifying to watch them. They get pushed around. They run around like chickens with their heads chopped off. I will say I think Al subs too much, or they sub too much. It feels like they sub guys on almost every play to the point where people don't get lined up properly. But I do think it's a personnel issue, Mike. I will say this. I do wonder if Zach Taylor had to do over again, would you have taken Logan Wilson out of the starting lineup? If I told you I'd give you a chance to do a do-over, and Logan wasn't playing great, mind you. In fact, before the year started, I predicted he'd be out of the starting lineup 6 games into the season. But he still is a guy that can get you lined up, and it feels like right now they don't get lined up at all. They're a mess lining up. I don't know whose blame that goes to, if that's to Al, if that's to Barrett Carter, if that's to Demetrius Knight, if that's to the Saint. I don't know whose fault that is, but they don't get lined up very well, and that's a problem. And at least Logan Wilson, I think, could get you lined up. That sounds simplistic, but I think he could have. So if you need a sacrificial lamb for fans' standpoint, then yeah, you're making a change. I just don't think that's the answer. I mean, it may make you feel better that, okay, they did something, by God. Okay, that's fine. I'll give you that, fans. But I don't think it's going to change anything. I really don't. I mean, I can remember back in 2018. In fact, this team has a shot to do this in their very next game. The 2018 team is the only team that's ever given up 500 yards plus in 3 straight games. And it got Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, fired in his very first year as defensive coordinator after Paul Gunther had left to go take a job with the Raiders. And Marvin Lewis wound up calling the defense for the rest of the year. Didn't really go all that well. Went a little bit better. They played a little bit better, but they didn't win many more games. So I go back to this, man. I know we all want to point fingers at coaches, and that's fine, man. I'm not telling you not to. But this personnel is just awful. I mean, give me a player on that team. And DJ Turner, by the way, today against Roma Dunze was absurdly good. They gave up a pass play to somebody else at one point in the game, but guess what? That's the NFL. He traveled with Roma Dunze today. He traveled with him, which means wherever Roma Dunze lined up, other than a couple snaps, and I think you probably saw him too, and they might have been in zone coverage there, whatever.
Correct.
He was with him for every man-to-man snap, I can tell you that. 3 targets, no catches. So I got a dude there. That's all well and good. But your safeties suck. Your 2 linebackers are rookies. You're still learning. Your 2 high-round draft pick defensive ends are an utter unmitigated joke. B.J. Hill is old. T.J. Slayton stinks. I can go on and on. It's a personnel issue. They're just not very good personnel-wise.
Well, at least they can laugh about it after the game.
Yeah, it's funny.
Here's the situation that's going to infuriate a lot of Bengal fans, and it had me perplexed. We wanted to go. Oren Burks talked. He linebacker, pros pro, won a Super Bowl last year, but he knows how to handle the situation of a defense that failed abysmally 2 straight weeks. So he did that. Good for him. He's not a starting linebacker, of course. He is a backup. He's a special teamer, but he spoke, and that was great. And this was after Chase Brown spoke. This was after Jamar Chase spoke. We go over, and several of us, myself included, go over to ask defensive linemen, including Shamar Stewart, including T.J. Slayton, Chris Jenkins, and they're all laughing, and all of them say the words, "Catch you Monday. Catch you on Monday."
Yeah. Good
and Jordan Battle was the same way. Catch you on Monday.
Yep.
That is zero accountability and zero fear or respect for the coaching staff or the organization. When I say this organization, and this organization has had crises like these countless times in their past, but that is a crisis of respect and professionalism. When you have that, usually players get cut the next day. And there are organizations that would cut these players and say, we're done with you. A message needs to be sent, cut the bullshit, and move on. This organization does not have a history of doing that.
Mike, and this just struck me. I think we even talked about it before, but it really did just strike me as you started talking about that. The previous 2 times they went to the Super Bowl in 1981 and 1988, they had a couple of okay seasons after that and then fell off a cliff. It was almost like, hey, we know what we're doing. Look at us. We know how to do this. You guys think you're so smart. We know how to do this. And then they fell off the cliff. And so you go to the Super Bowl in 2021, and then you go to the AFC Championship game in 2020. Hey, we know how to do this. Look how smart we are. And guess where you're at right now? You are falling back off that cliff after a couple of Midland seasons. Yeah, they were a couple of winning seasons. Yeah, you were close to making the playoffs, but no, you didn't make them. And now you are off that cliff on the other end. And at some point, when you get to that stage, you honestly have to have the look in the mirror, Mike Brown, of, hey, you know what? We still don't know what we're doing. We can't get this right consistently. Can you fall into it every once in a while? You sure can, because you've done it. And I can't call it all luck. You know, the 88 roster was a really good roster. The 81 roster was a really good roster,
right.
But you had a resurgence from Ken Anderson, who they tried to bench the year before and benched actually in
their opener.
Yeah, right. And rightfully so. He was terrible. But it's almost like it's the, see, we're there. And listen, the fans come back because the fans are sheep. And here they come. And you know what? We'll just keep doing it our way until we don't have to do it our way again. And we have to, all right, let's go hire some young offensive mind named Zach Taylor. I didn't really want to, but okay, we'll do that. And we'll go sign some free agents for a change because we got this hot shot quarterback. And he's such a hot shot. He's gonna help us mask all of our issues. Stop thinking you're smarter than everybody. Stop, because you're not, and you're proving it time and time and time again.
How bad does it have to get for the Bengals to hire a general manager? And
I don't know.
maybe not fire Duke Tobin, but demote him to a different part of the organization. You know, say, I understand he's very close with the Browns and the Blackburns.
Well,
I totally get it. But bring in a real general manager, show the players, show Joe Burrow that you're serious about getting this right. And if it means letting go of Zach Taylor and starting anew with the administration, then that's what you do. How bad does it have to get for that to happen?
I'll be honest. It has to get to the point where Joe Burrow goes into ownership and upper management and go, guys, you better fix this. You just better find a way to fix this because I've had it.
He was seen, by the way, leaving the parking lot by one of our very close friends on the beat. Seen as soon as Zach's press conference was over, he was in the parking lot, out the door, and see you later today.
Yeah, I'm sure it's awful for him to watch because he's looking and going, hell, I couldn't win these games either. I mean, that's the other part. As much as it sucks Joe Burrow's hurt, no offense, he isn't doing what Joe Flacco's doing at the moment, in my opinion. Even if he does, guess what? Let's just say he replicates that, which is Joe Burrow can do those kind of things, right? They still wouldn't win games. It's mind-numbing, and I don't get why you continue to run your operation this way, and yet they do. And again, it feels like every time the Super Bowl happens for this franchise, it's, we're good. We'll go back to the way we do things because we're so smart. No, you're not. You honestly, you don't know what you're doing. You just don't.
It's not about getting lucky every so often. It's about consistency, the Al Davis moniker, commitment to excellence.
Yes.
There is zero commitment in the organization for excellence, continued excellence. It's great to be lucky once in a while. It's great to get to the Super Bowl every 8 or 32 years. Great. But do you want your fan base to be convinced that, we really have learned our lesson? Yes, we are a very different franchise now, because 99.5% of Bengal fans know that this is the same Bengals that we've seen for 50 years.
You know, it's a good thing, though. At least they're not raising ticket prices. Oh, wait a minute. They are raising ticket prices. I mean, honestly, at some point, I think you're going to alienate the fan base so bad that they're just and you're close to this again. Joe Burrow saved that ass. He saved your ass. He might have even saved the least, to be honest with you, because I think there'd have been enough turn in the fan base to where they would have said, we're doing the least. We're going somewhere else, somebody who likes us better. Again, I go back to this, and I've said this for a long time. I think Mike Brown means well. I think he is a good man.
Right.
I think he loves football. But, Mike, I don't know what your dad did for a living, but if my dad was a doctor, it didn't mean I was going to become a doctor. My dad worked for the airlines. I didn't go to work for the airlines. Just because your dad knows football and was a genius at football doesn't mean you are. And it certainly doesn't mean your daughter and son-in-law are, or their 2 daughters are. It just doesn't. Again, I know it's your team, it's your money, it's your whatever, but at some point, How about we turn to some professionals, some real life professionals to do this work? And I don't tell you Duke Tobin's not a professional, but at some point, man, if it's not working, you have got to make the change. I don't have faith they make it. I hate to be that guy. I just don't have faith they make that change.
I don't think anybody does, Skinny. I mean, organizations, after witnessing the last 2 weeks, watching your season go up in flames, essentially making the return of Joe Burrow moot. He probably doesn't have to worry about coming back. After watching that the last 2 weeks, teams would make serious changes tomorrow heading into the trade deadline. And go ahead, Skinny.
No, the mind-boggling part is questions we asked at Duke Tobin at the Combine, and I think he was also asked in Mobile, which I was not there. Kelsey Conway did a great, she did a great Q&A with him of, the guard problem. We don't have a guard problem. Well, yeah, you do, because you're starting 2 rookies at the moment. So don't tell me you don't have a guard problem, because you didn't even have those 2 guys on your roster. And then you don't do anything at safety. And literally, I don't know this for a fact, but there's got to be a reason Tyson Anderson and P.J. Jules don't play over these 2 guys, because they can't play. You don't even have a backup safety that you feel comfortable putting in for those 2 awful players. And then you have these 2 first-round defensive ends who, honestly, they just look like guys running around like chickens with their heads chopped off, not having any kind of plan for what they're doing. It's a joke.
I was thinking maybe coming into today, Skinny, Bengals win the game, find a way to win this. Indianapolis goes to 8-1 and beats a Pittsburgh team, and you're looking at being a half game out. The exact opposite happens in a matter of seconds, closing seconds of this game in crushing fashion. And, the season with those 2 results today, I think, is all but over.
I mean, Mike, you have 2, in my opinion, automatic losses on the schedule left. And that's, again, there's others that you could point to that might be losses too. But, I mean, seeing them go, if Baltimore's even healthier when they go there on Thanksgiving night, that's a loss. Going to Buffalo is a loss. That puts you at 8 before you even factor in anything else, like going to Pittsburgh. The New England Patriots, who are really good, coming to town. You're at 8 before you even start counting 50-50 games, and that's an impossible ask. And part of my column I'm writing is the words now ring so hollow. I know Zach's trying to put on a brave face about we're just going to go back to work and that's all we can do, and we're going to work like hell to keep fighting to find wins. Great, go ahead and do that. Sounds cute, but you're just not good enough to do it, man. Your defense isn't close to being good enough to do it. And so you can talk all you want. I'm done with the talking. I'm done with hearing what they have. I really am. I'm done with all of that. I know it's our job to ask and to listen and to report it, but I'm just done with all of it, just because at this point, man, it all rings hollow. There's nothing else you can do other than go prove it. And the proof is in the pudding with this defense. Nothing's going to change to make this better. It's just not. You are what you are, and it's one of the worst defenses perhaps in NFL history. I'm not even sure you could put together an expansion team of defenders worse than this group.
Well, they're either all rookies who don't know how to play positions,
or they suck.
Are out of position. They can't even tackle veterans.
It's brutal.
I've never seen anything like it. This is the worst. I've been covering football, Skinny, since 1993. I have never seen a defense this bad. I know Terrell Austin got fired midway through the 2018 season, and Marvin's last year as head coach of the Bengals. I get that, but this has been something we saw first game of preseason. We saw this,
that's right,
and it was written off as, and we took Al Golden and Zach Taylor's word for it. We're playing vanilla. Yeah. We're not playing any type of fancy. We're playing 4 defenses, and that's 4 looks, and that's it. Wait till the regular season comes. And I will say, first couple of weeks of the regular season, it looked okay, but then offensive coordinators make adjustments. They start keying on the rookies who were put in the lineup, kind of just thrown in there and learn on the fly. Like you said, Logan Wilson, maybe Zach Taylor doesn't do that if he has a second shot at it, but he did. And so you had 3 rookies in that lineup, and offensive coordinators have picked them apart.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson, how many different, and I'm not a big, Mike McDaniel got all this credit for, he's got all these great motion sets and great. He's doing swell at the moment, folks. But Ben Johnson gave that defense so much eye candy today with late shifts, motions, the trick plays, the misdirection plays, the bootlegs, that I guarantee you Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter's heads were spinning going, what in the world are we watching here? And I'm going to give them a pass because they're rookies. But again, they're out there playing, and they have to play at a high level for you to win, and they're just not. And so I think you see some of that stuff. And Mike, listen, the funny part is, while the defense is the one we point the finger at, and rightfully so. I mean, remember the joke of, well, the Bengals have lost all these games in the 30s. Well, now they score in the 40s and they can't even win games. But there was a lot of, as I mentioned, there were a lot of gaffes. I wrote down at least 8. I might even have 10 of them.
I'll point out 2 that come to mind.
Yep.
And this is on coaching, and Zach kind of
DJ
acknowledged
Ivey.
that. DJ Ivey lining up offside, that led to a missed field goal that was wiped off. The Bears go right back down the field and score a touchdown.
7 points.
The first 2 Bears touchdowns were because of miscues. One was a Demetrius Knight illegal contact that led to the Bears' first touchdown when the Bears were about to punt. The second one came on the field goal that you just mentioned. The drop ball by Chase Brown over the middle probably would have been a touchdown, and the Bengals wind up with 3 points instead of 7 right there. Then you talk about the missed field goal because the Bengals didn't know if they were going for it on 4th and 12. Yeah. 4th and 12, Skinny. Well, they rush Evan McPherson on the field. He is short on a 54-yarder. By a mile. And he's never that short.
Correct.
And so there was just, and that's what, 4 or 5 gaffes that I point out right off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I got a handful of others for you. How about Orlando Brown's selfish, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty down at the 6-yard line that took you from 2nd and goal at the 6 to 2nd and goal at the 21? You had to settle for 3. How about Andre Yoshibach somehow running along the back of the end zone and running out of bounds that cost you a touchdown and then cost you, the next player 2 plays later when Flacco threw the interception? I mean, look at all the gaffes. And Charlie Jones, who had the great kickoff return for a touchdown, catching a 70-yard punt over his shoulder back at the 3. Now, this wasn't totally egregious. He returned it to the 15. It only cost you 5 yards. But, I mean, all that stuff adds up. And if you start adding up the points, Orlando costing you maybe 4. Chase Brown costing you 4. Andre costing you at maybe 7, if not 4. Demetrius Knight costing you 7 because of the penalty. DJ Ivey costing you 7. How much does that add up?
I mean, you're talking about a game the Bears won by 5,
right?
And the Bengals scored 42. Bengals arguably should have won this game. If you take all of that into, if you wipe out half of those mistakes, the Bengals win this game by 20.
Correct. And they're all, I can't even say they're mistakes of commission. They're mistakes of just stupidity. I mean, lining up offside. I like DJ Ivey. He's a sweet kid. But how can you line up offside on a field goal? How can Orlando Brown? I know it's a physical game. I know it's tough. I know tempers flare. But you can't be that damn selfish in that moment to commit that penalty.
Okay, I'm going to ask you 2 questions to wrap it up.
Yes.
What do you think should happen Monday in terms of personnel moves? And you can include players, coaches, front office. What do you think will happen?
I think nothing will happen. I do think Jerry Montgomery should go. Maybe in a world, and that's the other part to this, I don't think Al should be fired because, again, I don't think he's culpable. But if you want to show something, the problem is, Mike, let's just say you fired Al. Let's just go to that part of it. I don't even, who else on that defense is experienced enough to call
Jordan
the game?
Kovacs. I don't know. I mean, I'm
right,
just throwing.
But he's not that experienced, right? I mean, you could throw him in the fire and go, let's see what we got here. But I don't think that's the answer. So I don't think there's a ready-made answer there. Should you trade Trey Hendrickson? You sure should try. I just don't think you're going to get anything back for him. Okay, you want to trade Cam Taylor-Britt? I'm okay with that. I don't think you're going to get much back for him. And other than that, I'm not sure what else you can do. So I know the pitchforks are out. I get it. I mean, honestly, if you wanted if you wanted to make a statement, you fired Duke Tobin on Monday. That's who you fire.
Yeah, and I just don't see the Brown family doing that.
I don't either.
And, I mean, what about Trey Brown?
Yeah, it feels like, unfortunately for him, and I don't mean this in such a negative way, it's going to sound like he gets a lot of interviews from other teams, and I think he gets them a lot because of the Rooney Rule. I just do. And maybe he is the answer. I don't know. Maybe he's the perfect guy waiting in the wings.
Maybe Trey Brown in place of Duke Tobin. I mean, that would be a bold move for the Bengals, but
would be. But is he good enough? I mean, he's gotten a bunch of interviews in this league, no one's hired him.
You know the answer to that, Skinny. Is he good enough? Well, look at what good enough has got you so far.
For a point, but I go back to, again, if he was that good in the interviews he's had, wouldn't somebody have plucked him by now?
That's a fair point as well.